In 2016, I crashed my car into the crash barrier at 80 miles per hour. I live to tell the tale, as you can hopefully tell, but next day, as I inspected the damage on my car, I saw that 10 centimeters more to the left and I would have been snuffed out like a candle. It may sound dramatic, and of course in a way it was somewhat dramatic, and it got me to thinking about life and death, as one does, I guess. Inevitably you start to think about how you spend your life, and what is the purpose, what's the goal, what's my goal. And when you're thinking about life and death, you inevitably start thinking about the madness of each and every consecutive day, and then of course at some point you're going to have to realize that you're part of the madness. It may sound strange, and I guess it was strange, but then I realized that what I was really missing was faith. Faith in the religious sense. I thought, I'm going through this life, and one day, in the distant future, I'm going to be on my deathbed, and then I'm going to have to wonder, so how did I spend this time here on earth? What does it mean, spending time here on earth? What does it mean to spend time at all? What does it mean to be you? And I thought, well, I can postpone these thoughts until the final moment, or alternatively, I can start thinking about them now. And so I did, and I started thinking, what I want is a new kind of faith, something to hold on to. Because if you don't have faith, if there's nothing that you can believe in that is bigger than you are, then really you're out on your own. And I find that very hard to believe. I've always found it hard to believe, but I never could quite put it into words. Because of course we're not alone. Just look around you, it's so obvious. There's 9 billion people. They're all out there, and then there's a zillion animals and a trillion insects, and there's plants and there's trees, there's dolphins, all of life. It is one thing, and everything feeds on each other, and everything lives because something else lives or dies. And so there is meaning to all this, and the meaning cannot be mere existence. It exists, yes, but that's not why it's there. Something around us is creating all this. I might say, well, if you're religiously inclined, that's God. Well, I am religiously inclined, but I'm not very enamored by any of the religions that are out there. I think they've seen the mess the world is in, and the way our societies have all but spun out of control. Then I'm thinking, well, the old religions, they've had that chance and they blew it. We need a new kind of faith, a faith. We need to find a belief that actually nourishes and sustains, a belief that helps us out of this antagonistic position that we find ourselves in, and help us find a more loving way of being. And And I missed that kind of faith. And then I thought, well, if no one else does it, then I'll do it. I will just create a new faith. Now that was a bit silly, I might say, because you can't just, say, okay, well, if no one else talks about gods, then I'll create gods. That's not how it works. But when you look at the unity of all that is around us, when you think of how nature is connected, when you think of how our travels always bring us back to each other, then you must realize that indeed there is a divine unity out there. And when you think of that unity, let's just give it a name. And curiously, in quantum physics, there is the notion of a universe and black holes, and I won't go into all that because I'm not going to give the impression that I actually understand quantum mechanics. But what I do know about it is there is this notion of a universe that is creating itself. And of course the quantum physicists are not likely to say, well, let's call it God. But there is something out there. There's an organizing intelligence out there that is actually organizing, not in a planned kind of manner, not in any way, thinking, well, what will I do today? Let's create a world. But it seems there is a consciousness that is organizing, maybe in spite of itself, organizing the universe. And of course that notion has been around for a while. I got to think about the ancient Greek goddess called Cybele. She had her own cult in ancient Greece. She was the great mother behind all creation, which is interestingly also a notion in Gnosticism, that the Christian God, the creator, is not actually, the one God. Behind him there's another God. There are more gods, which you can read in the Bible. That's not a secret. So there's this organizing intelligence, the Great Mother. But then there is also this mysterious life. There's the life force. And in a sense, I think the Egyptians had it all figured out when they were worshipping the sun god, Atum. Atum is one of the sun gods. And then I was thinking, this organizing intelligence, the Great Mother, that would be Cybele. And the Great Father, that would be Atum. And since the whole thing is connected anyway, because it is, that's quite obvious. Let's say this unity, Brahman, the quantum field, whatever you wish to call it. Let's call it Cybele Atum, the Great Mother Father. Because when you have a name, this allows for a creation story, a myth, if you will. Because I felt, I would want myth in my life. Not to obscure things, but quite the opposite. I want myth in my life so as to make sense of it all. If you have a story of the way the world was created, the universe was created, or where people come from, then even if it's a story, it's a myth, this somehow helps to get a grip on the mystery of being. Because, like it or not, we are surrounded by a mystery. All the things we see, all the things we go through our very own lives, it is all shrouded in a mystery. And I was listening to a lecture by Terence McKenna the other day, and McKenna put it quite succinctly. He said the mystery is not something that you have to try and solve. It's not a riddle for you to solve. It is a mystery, and what you have to do is to learn to live with it, to find your place in the mystery. And that, to my mind, is the point. Life is mysterious. Us being here is mysterious. We know we are, we're individuals, and yet we're also, part of this mystery. It is all one. We are all one. You and I, we are the one God incarnated. The one God, Kibela Atum, is an organizing intelligence. So let's call it the Supreme Mind. Now the Supreme Mind, that's us. Except we're materializations of the Supreme Mind. We are gods, except we're gods in the flesh. And that has a reason. Imagine being the all, being Kibela Atum, being the Supreme Mind, being this organizing intelligence that is organizing the entire universe. That must be amazing, completely fantastic. Imagine, you're thinking of worlds and pooh, worlds appear. Or, you're thinking of stars and pooh, stars appear. And like in a dream, you're watching everything happen all at once. You're experiencing this because you are this. You are what is happening. And then being the all, there's nothing you can do about it. It's like a giant hallucination, and you're bang in the middle of it. And then you might think, I would like to participate. And then because, being God, being the Supreme Mind, you only have to think about it. And there you go. You can't do it. And you can think of people and worlds. And when you think of them, they materialize. And there we are, people. And yeah, we're people, you and I. We're here, we're human. And we're gods. We are the Supreme Mind. We are a materialization of the Supreme Mind. And the Supreme Mind, of course, is infinite. It is the all. It is all of time. It is all that has ever been. It is all that will ever be. And it is all that is now. And you and I, well, we're finite. Because we have this body that gets born, it blossoms, and then it withers, and then it's gone. But where does the mind go? There is this divine spark in all of us, and it's not a spark, it's not just inspiration. It is the divinity that has materialized. So I like to think of this aspect of us as the possibility of regaining our divine nature, of rediscovering our divine selves, and that possibility is always there. So I like to refer to that as the eternal heart. You and I, we are the eternal heart. That is this bond between the materialized Supreme Mind and the immaterial, infinite Qibla Atum, the infinite Supreme Mind, the great I Am of the universe. So yeah, so that's what I was thinking. You know, we do need this. I need it, and if I'm not that unique, so when I think we need a new faith, there are people out there, people like you probably, who also think, you know, yes, we need a new kind of faith. We need a new story. We need a new myth, and we need to understand that kindness, compassion, working together, love, enjoying these bodies, the necessity to share this world with all the living beings, and to love all the living beings because they're here, simply because they're here. That is a necessity, and the necessity to overcome the trauma of our upbringing, the trauma of, you know, what happened to us, the pain of being. We need to overcome that. And we can do that when we realize that this faith is not something that, you know, it's not a nice to have, it's a need to have. And there will be a way to talk about, another way to talk about the immensity of being here and feeling that you're connected to something that is out there, and it has a love for us, and we have a love for it, and we're going to call that Supreme Mind, Qibla Atum, the Great Mother Father. And I'm going to talk about that a lot. That is what I'm going to do. I think it's important. I think it's fun. And I want to connect to you who are out there. You know, I know I'm the one talking, and you're not talking to me, but I want to connect to all of you, to all that is you, because connection to ourselves and connection to the Supreme Mind through love, that is how we make this life better and how we can change the world, and the world needs changing.